Shalom and welcome again for another half-hour Hebrew class. And as you can see from the screen, we're in Yehuchanan, John chapter 9, verses 16 to 20. So let us begin now. And as you can see, we have the Nikud vowel markings for anyone who's new with the resources. And how to use the vowel. What sort of sound does the vowel more or less have? So let's begin. And of course, this shows us how we represent 16. 15 and 16 are a bit unusually represented. And it's represented with a tet, which has a value of 9, and a zayin, which has a value of 7. And let us just do the letters as usual. And then we have a vav, a yod, a aleph, a mem, a resh, a vav, a mem, a kuf, a zadeh, a tav, a hey, a pei, a resh, a vav, a shin, a yod, a mem sofit, zayin, hey, aleph, yod, shin, lamed, aleph, mem, aleph, tav, aleph, lamed, hey, yod, and mem sofit. Remembering that where we see the vowel mark here, that means rather than a vav, it is an u sound. And where there's a dot here, it's a pei rather than a fei, just so that we remember those. Let us begin. Va yom ru. And they said, the they is the u at the end. And the tense is determined by yoru, which means shall say. It means an incomplete action with the vav in front of it. It reverses the tense. So we know, and they said, a completed action. Miksat, which is from some. Let's have a look. Kasat is an adverb which means some, a bit, a little. Then we have ha-perushim, meaning the Pharisees. So, in other words, a bit or some of the Pharisees. They, this, they're saying, right? This, ha-ish, the man. Lo, not, or is not. Me'et, meaning from, with the grammar marker. Elohim. Right, and also I had there katseh, which means the edge, extremity, fringe, or the end. So it can mean like, so therefore we got the idea it's those on the fringe edges. So some meaning. Some said. So therefore in the English it's a few of the Pharisees said, this man is not from Elohim. Therefore that's not all of them. Right? Take that into account. Va yom ru. So we're reading it without any help. Right? And then we have miksat. Ha perushim. Ze ha ish. Lo, me'et, Elohim. And let's go to the next part, which is part B, and we have a hey, a vav, an aleph, a kaf, a yod, lamed, aleph, yod, shin, mem, resh, aleph, tav, hey, shin, bet, tav, vet, vav, aleph, chet, resh, yod, mem sofit, aleph, mem, resh, vav, aleph, yod, kaf, hey, yod, vav, kaf, and lamed. Remembering that the white means it's not pronounced. And where we see, again, the dot, that's a u sound. This is a bayet, not a vayet, because it's got a dot. Just remember those. That's an u sound. That's an u sound. So let's read it. Hu, which means he. Ki means for. It can mean that or for. Ki. lo, not yishmor, not will guard, willy guard, all right? Because shamar means to guard. Et, grammar marker, ha-Shabbat, the Sabbath. Va'acherim, va'acherim meaning and others, because echer mean other, another or others. Amru, they said. Again, the u is they, and amar means to say, right? They said, eka, how? Yukal shall be able. So the normal English is not from Elohim, that's the previous verse. He, because he does not keep the Sabbath. Others says, how would he be able? So if we look down here, le'acher is a verb to come after, to come later. So acher means after, but acher here can also as an adjective mean another or other or different. As a preposition it means after. So it just shows you how you can use it in different ways. And eka is biblically, it means how. How can it be? And yakol is the verb to be able, or shall be able. Right now, let us read that without any help. And it is hu ki lo yishmor et ha Shabbat va'acherim amru eka yukal. Okay, part C now. And we have an aleph, a yod, a shin, a chet, a tet, an aleph, lamed, ayin, sin, vav, tav, aleph, tav, vav, tav, kaf, aleph, lamed, hey, vav, tav, hey, yod, mem, chet, lamed, kuf, tav, bet, yod, nun, yod, hey, mem, safit. Now let's read it. Ish, which means a man. Chote, sinning, because it derives from the word chet, which is the masculine noun for sin, offense, misdemeanor. And this is like a participle. A man sinning, a sot, to do. So remember, it is how could he be able, a man sinning to do, otot, meaning signs, ka ele, meaning like these, the kaf is like, va tehi, ma chaloket. So let's have a look. And there was division. So let's have a look. Down here I've got chalak is a verb to disagree, to divide. So that's the division, chalok. It's like a participle again, a divide, all right? And there was division. Beinehem, we know bein means between them. So that's how we get that. How would he be able, a man, a sinner, to do such signs? And there was a dispute among there, or division. Now let's read that. Ish, chote, la'asot, otot, ka'ele, va'tehi, machaloket, beinehem. All right. And now we're up to 17, which is a yod, 10, and a zayin, 7. Then we have a vav, yod, vav, samek, yod, fei, vav, vav, yod, aleph, mem, resh, vav, aleph, lamed, Hey, ayin, vav, resh, vav, aleph, tav, hey, mem, hey, tav, aleph, mem, resh, lamed, vav. So what do we go through all the letters so that they become so familiar that we don't have to hesitate? So we go, va, yosifu, va, yosifu, and they added, which is where we get the word Yosef from, meaning to add, right? And at the beginning, they, u, and Yosef, which is added. And they added, vayomru, and they said, again, they at the end. El, to, ha, I, ver, to the blind man. The, a, ta, and you, ma, what, to, mar, do you say? Because the tav at the beginning of it is an incomplete action. And I think it's probably third person, future. Do you say, lo, for him? And then in the English, once more, they said to the blind man, what do you say of him? Now let's read it without any help. Va yo si fu, va yom ru, el ha I ver, va ata, ma tomar lo. Okay, part B. And we have a kaf, a yod, fe, a kuf, a chet, ayin, yod, nun, yod, kaf, so fit. Vav, yod, aleph, mem, resh, nun, vayet, yod, aleph, hey, vav, and aleph. And it is ki, meaning for, pa, kach, fa, and this, because there's no dot, it's fakach, meaning opened, right? He opened. Eneka, eneka, meaning your eyes. Ene is eyes. Vayomer, and he said, Navi, a prophet. Who he or he is. What do you say of him, since he opened your eyes? And he said, he is a prophet. If we look here, pakach is the verb to open one's eyes or ears. And then pakach shem is a noun for an inspector, supervisor, which is interesting. Because it uses the one who, he used the word for open. A man who opens is an inspector. And then le pakach is a verb to inspect, to supervise. Just threw that in to see how it can be used in other ways as well. And so now it is time to read it. And it is ki, fa, kach, e, ne, ka, va, yo, mer, na, vi, who. And now we're in 18, which is represented by Yod, and Chet, which has a value of 8. And then we have Vav, Lamed, Aleph, Hey, Aleph, Mem, Yod, Nun, Vav, Hey, Yod, Hey, Vav, Dalet, Yod, Mem, Safit, Kaf, Yod, Ayin, Vav, Resh, Hey, Yod, Hey, Vav, Aleph, Resh, Vav, Ayin, Yod, Nun, Yod, Vav. And now let's read it. The lo, and it means and not. He, mi, nu. They believed. Right? Because the u at the end is they. If we look down there, he, min is the verb to believe. Ha, Yehudim, the Jews, right? The Hudim, Yehudim. Ki for Iver, the blind. Haya was, he was. The Oru, va'oru, and they were enlightened. Naive, his eyes. So I'm just giving you direct meanings of these words. The Jews did not believe that he had been blind and his eyes were enlightened. So that's how we can see what it means. Because, of course, we have here the word or, right, which is a noun for light. So we can see why it's the oru, meaning they were made light or enlightened. And I've just added something here. He'ir is a verb to glow, to illuminate, to light up. And ayin, which means eye, look, or appearance. And this is a naive, meaning a plural, so his eyes. Right, now let us read that again. Velo he'eminu ha-Yehudim ki iver haya ve'oru a naive. And we're in part B of 18, and we have an ayin, a dalet, an aleph, a shin, a resh, a kuf, a resh, an aleph, a vav, an aleph, a lamed, yod, vav, lamed, dalet, yod, hey, nun, resh, pei, and aleph. And there's a stroke missing underneath it. It should be ad, a sheer, which is, ad is until, that or when. Karu, they called. El to Yolday. Yolday is the ones birthing, which translations say parents, but which is true. But the term is to do with the one giving birth, so the ones who birthed him, right? Ha-nir-pa, ha-nir-pa, the healed one. And if we look down here, yalad is a verb to give birth, to bear. Nolad is a verb to be born. And I've also given you the normal word for parents, which is horim, noun for parents, meaning one who instructs as opposed to one who births. So they use other terms then. So now let us read that. So there's a stroke under here, remember that? It's ad, ashir, karu, el, yol, day, ha, nir, pa. And 19, we've got a yod and a tet. And it is a vav, yod, a shin, a lef, lamed, vav, a lef, tav, mem, safit, lamed, a lef, mem, resh, hey, zion, hey, veyet, because no dot, nun, kaf, mem, safit, a lef, shin, resh, a lef, mem, resh, tav, and mem, safit. So we read it. Va, yish, lu. And they asked. Right? And that comes from the word sha'al, verb to ask, to question, to query. Otam, them, talking about the parents, lemor, to say, hazeh, which is like a question, right? With the ha in front of it, the question. Is this? Because they is this. And then we got vin kem, meaning your son. Because we know bin or ben means son, and kem is you, sort of in plural. So it's your son. Asher, whom, amartem, you, in the plural, said. They asked them, saying, is this your son whom you said? Right, now let's read that. Vayish'alu otam lemor hazeh vinkem asher amartem. Right, 19b, and we got a nun, a vav, a lamed and dalet, an ayin, a vav, a resh, a vav, an aleph, a yod, a kaf, a hey, a vav, an aleph, resh, aleph, hey, ayin, tav, hey. Nolad, meaning was born. It's past tense, right? Was born, iver, blind, the eka, and how. The vav is and. Who, he, or he is. Ro'e, seeing. Ata. And with the I in there, it's not the other ata. It means now, currently. You said was born blind. How does he see now? And now let's read it. Nolad. Iver, the eka, who ro'e ata. Right. And now we're up to 20, which is represented by a kaf, has a value of 20. And we got a vav, a yod, an ayin, a nun, a vav, and a aleph, tav, mem safit, yod, vav, lamed, dalet, yod, vav, vav, yod, aleph, mem, resh, vav, yod, dalet, ayin, nun, vav, kaf, yod, zayin, hey, hey, vav, aleph, bayet, nun, nun, and vav. And is va, ya, anu. And they answered, because ya'an means to answer. Otam, them, Yol Dayev, his birthing parents, or his birthing ones. Va Yomru, and they said, Ya da nu, we know, ki, that, they, this, who, he, or is he, b'nei nu, our son, because bin or ben is son, right? Our son, nu is our. His parents answered them and said, we know that this is our son. And again, I've given you allowed a verb to give birth, no allowed a verb to be born or was born. Okay, let's read that. Va ya anu otam yol dayev va yom ru yada nu ki ze hu b'nei nu. Right. Okay. It's part B now. And we have a vav, a kaf, a yod, a nun, a vav, lamed, dalet, ayin, a vav, resh. As we can see here, we've got a dagesh in there, and we've got a vowel marking. So we can't have two vowels, so only one of them can be considered the vowel, and it's the one underneath. So let's begin here. The key and that. It could be for, but and that. No lad, meaning well, he was born. Iver, meaning blind. This is our son, and that he was born blind. Again, I've repeated, no lad is a verb to be born or was born. And let us read that without any help. V'ki nolad iver. Okay. Now, after all that, we can come to our revision and see how we go. We're translating it as we go along. First, we have a tet, which is 9, and a zayin, which is 7. Together, they add up to being 16. And let us begin. Va yomru, and they said, Mik Miksat meaning from some. Ha-perushim, the Pharisees. They, this, ha-ish, the man, lo, not, me'et, meaning from, grammar marker, Elohim. And there we have it. And they said from some of the Pharisees, this, the man, is not from Elohim. Who? He, ki, which can mean for or that, not, lo, lo is not, yish, more, shall keep, et grammar marker, ha-Shabbat, the Sabbath, va'acherim, and others, because it's plural, amru, they said, eka, how, yukal, shall be able, he for not will he guard, meaning keep, grammar marker, the Shabbat, and others they said, how shall be able, how shall he be able, in other words. And then ish, a man, chote, sinning, la'asat, to do, otot, signs, ka'ele, like these, va'tehi, and it was, tehi, and it is, right, and it was, or and there was, is probably in context, machaloket, a division, beinehem, between them, a man sinning to do signs like these, and there was division between them. Then we have a Yod 10, Zion 7, so it's 17. Now it's back to the usual 10 and 7. It's only two different ones, the last two that cause that difficulty, right? And now we read, Va-yosifu, and they added, Va-yomru, and they said, El to ha-i-ver, the blind man, V'ata, and you, ma, what, to-mar, do you say, lo, for him. And they added and they said to the blind man, and you, what do you say for him? Ki, for, pakach, he opened, ka, your eyes, vayomer, and he said, Navi, a prophet, who, he. For he opened your eyes, and he said, a prophet he is. Then we have a Yod 10, Chet 8, Va lo, and not he mi nu, they did believe, ha Yehudim, the Jews, ki for, iver, the blind, for blind, haya was, the or u, and they were enlightened, and they were made light, right? Anev, his eyes, to understand that one. And not they believed, the Yehudim, that blind he was. And they were enlightened. Now it's talking about his eyes, right? Because his eyes comes, the details of it come after. And they're enlightened, his eyes. They didn't believe that. Now this should have a stroke under it, right? For an A sound. Ad, until Ashir, that Karu, they called L2 Yolde, the birthing ones, the parents. Ha near pa, of the healed one. Until when they called to the ones birthing the healed one. And we have a Yod 10, Tet 9. So we're on 19. Va yish alu, and they asked Otam, him, lemor, to say, Hazeh, is this Vin Kem, your son? Asher, who, Amar Tem, you say. And they asked them to say, is this, it's a question, your son whom you, in the plural, said? Nolad was born, Iver, blind, Ve'eka, and how, who, he, Ro'e, seeing, Ata, meaning currently or now. Was born blind, and how he is seeing now. Right? Then we have a Kaf, which has a value of 20. And we have a Vav, Yod, Ayin, Nun, Vav, Aleph, Tav, Mem Safit, Yod, Vav, Lamed, Dalet, Yod, Vav, Vav, Yod, Aleph, Mem, Resh, Vav, Yod, Dalet, Ayin, Nun, Vav, Kaf, Yod, Zayin, Hey, Hey, Vav, Aleph, Bayet, because of the dot, Nun, Nun, and Vav. Now let's read it. Vayanu, and they answered, Otam, them, Yodev, his, that's the Vav, his birthing ones. Vayomru, and they said, Yadanu, we know, ki, that, they, this, who, he, Benenu, our son. And they answered them, his birthing parents, and they said, we know that this is he, our son. The ki, and that, because ki can mean that or for. The ki, Nolad was born Iver, blind, and that he was born blind. Very good. And I hope that as we went through some of that, you found you could follow, you could remember. And of course, we have our vowel markings just to remind us every time what's the vowel called. And here we see, if we look at the bottom line, when it's next to the valve like that, it's a shu-ruk. So again, the sound is the oo sound, shu. And it's very similar. It's the same literally as the diagonal. Ku, butz, ku, shu, ku, same sound. And this one is a combination of the shava with the segol. It's called a kataf segol. And then we have a shirik. So it gives us the I sound. Chi. In rather than she, it's a chi. Chi with the I sound. Chirik. And this one with the shava is called chataf patak. And this one's called chataf kamatz. It's a longer A sound compared with that one, which is pa. And this is ka. Okay. And again, we've got our chart, which reminds us of the counting system and, of course, the useful resources. If we would just review the numbers which are a bit higher, we have a Zade, which has a value of 90, a Fe, which has a value of 80, an ayin, which has a value of 70, a samek, which has a value of 60, a nun has a value of 50, and a mem has a value of 40. And that is it. So we'd like to wish you a Shavua Tov and hope this is a blessing to you, and keep it up and do just a bit every day, and you'll find yourself being quite proficient with it over time. And we'd like to wish you again a good week. Thank you for joining.